My name's Jim Hess. We've owned this property since 2005 and started putting in our first prairie at about that time. We planted a 5-acre prairie, and then we planted a 4-acre prairie, and then our little kingdom keeps expanding. We have about 50 acres now, including 10 acres you might call between oak savanna and prairie remnant areas. We put our bat house up, and I was thinking about this the other day. It was probably in about 2009. Marcy's very much interested in bats, and so am I. And they're just a very interesting animal, the way they pollinate a lot of things. They keep the insect, particularly the mosquito population, down. And then we started hearing more and more about the white nose disease, and then we found out there was efforts out there to start gathering data on bats, and we said we'd be more than glad to do that. So started going out and monitoring bats. First of all, the bats tend to come out about 20 minutes after the sun sets. And you have clickers, hand clickers. And as soon as the first bat comes out, you've got to have a watch or something to make a note that it was 8:20 or whatever the first bat came out. It seems crazy, but you're sitting there and you're going, okay, I don't want to miss it now. And you're watching, don't blink, don't
As you're
blink.
sitting there, you do realize when they're about to come because you will hear the scritching.
Right before they come out, you can hear because they're crawling down, and sometimes you hear flapping of the wings. They've been asleep for all night, and they're stretching, and you're waiting for that first one to come out. And I can't help myself. Every time it happens, I jump.
It never gets old. I never tire of it. Like I said, you're listening to that scritching. You know it's going to happen. And then the first one comes out, and you're like, I got one, there's one, it's the first time.
It was quite exciting at first because we started out, our numbers kept getting bigger and bigger. We got up to about 140 bats. It took two of us to go down there and count the bats. And then after that, that's when white nose started having an effect on our houses. The next year, the numbers dwindled more down to about 30 or so bats. And then this year, we started out, I'm going from memory here, but there was about 14, 15 bats. And the last two counts went this way. There was no bats. And then the most recent count I did, which was a couple of weeks ago, there were 5 bats. So I don't know what they're doing, but even if there's bats there, the numbers are significantly down. The other things that we've been doing out here for wildlife and animals have all been so successful. We've all heard about the decline of the monarch butterfly, and around here you wouldn't think that. We have hundreds and hundreds of them because we have plenty of milkweed out there for them, and all varieties of milkweed. We've got marsh milkweed and butterfly milkweed, and
We've got short grain milkweed, we've got tall grain milkweed, we've got Sullivan's milkweed. The thing I like to tell people when I do presentations on prairies is it's all about the insects. If you don't have the insect, you're not going to have the baby birds. You're not going to have the baby reptiles or amphibians or baby mammals. One way we monitor insects is to put up a black light and a white sheet. We'll usually set up 2 of them, one against the door, and then we'll go out into the oak savanna area or the woods. And when we do this, it brings in a lot of moths.
And what she does is that she takes a picture and comes up with some pretty dramatic, beautiful photos. Most people think of a moth as just being a brown and ugly, but they have a lot of color to them, and they're quite beautiful. We're on the route from Darlington to Madison, and the helicopter comes to the north of the house or south of the house. And they must be thinking we're outside watching movies against our garage door. As we're out there, you shine the light up and you'll see the bats searching and eating, coming in for the easy meal.
Can you imagine how loud a nighttime is to a moth with all the echolocation that's going on? We think of night as being quiet. And then you put yourself in the bat's place. Wow. And then you put yourself in the moth's place. And you start to realize the night is really loud. But what I've been hearing from my other friends who do the black light is that there's a lot more moths now that the bats are not as prevalent.
The whole conservation story is pretty sad right now. It's an uphill battle. We work on our prairies, and I don't know how many times I'm out there I'm sweating, I'm building a better environment, but we're only 50 acres.
We are in the Anthropocene. We are in the sixth extinction. And I do believe we're going to start to see some major declines. I think the saddest part is, will we see anybody who cares? I know my friends have made comments about how much they've learned. Oh, wow, I didn't realize that moths were so different colored, or, oh, I've never seen a little baby chick. And I have to realize that as we do what we do, and as we tell our story, and as we involve our neighbors, they start to understand more. It's hard. You have to look for the hope. You have to look for the hope.